What's up? I'm Early Earl. I thank y'all for sliding down into these YouTube streets and coming down here to the early way. And we are back with another Rewind review, where I slide into these YouTube streets with a review over an episode or episodes of some of my favorite reality or scripted shows from back in the day. And right now we're going to rewind it back to 2007 and review College Hill Virgin Island, episode 8. You know, this season of College Hill was one of the best seasons that they had. This one had me glued to the seat every time it came on. Now, we got the people from Virgin Islands. We have Adisha, Vanessa, Cheeky, and Dre. And then we have the ones that is from California, LA. We got JT, Willie, Fallon, and Crystal. We open up to Crystal screaming and running out the laundry room because she saw an iguana outside her window. All dramatic and shit. She come running out. Everybody come to see what she's screaming for, and they realize that it's for an iguana that's outside the house and not inside the house. So Willie calls on Dre to go get it. Dre go outside with the towel in his hand, and he grabbed the iguana and tossed it away from the house in the bushes. Everybody from inside the house was clapping and, cheering him on as he did it. So he come back in the house, right? And Crystal thanked him for saving her life. And he was like, I wasn't trying to save your life. He was just trying to get the iguana away. And I was like, ooh. Well then, Crystal then jumps in her confessional and says that the tension between them, the LA crew, and the Virgin Island crew is so thick and anything can set it off. And she wishes it wasn't like that because of all the fighting gets aggravating. And I agree with her. All that fighting and shit every day it'll drain you. Then we see her laying on the sofa talking with Adisha. Crystal tells her that her and the LA crew is out of their element because they're not from the Virgin Island. And that, they would feel the same way if they came out to California. They'd be out of their element too. Adisha in her confessional says that communication is key. If everyone can sit down and act like adults other than arguing, things would be better between everybody. She then tells Crystal that she doesn't want them to feel like it's a line of division between them, the Virgin Island crew, and the LA crew. Crystal tells her that she don't want to feel like that either, but once they get back to California, everybody gonna be hanging out, and she doesn't want this to be the last time that the Virgin Island crew will be hanging out with them either. And I'm like, y'all probably will never see them people again a day in y'all life once y'all leave this show. It probably wouldn't even matter. But I get what she's saying. They should be able to build a bond and keep in contact instead of fighting all the time. That shit do get tiring. So, after that, the day turned to night and we switch over to them at a restaurant eating dinner. At the end of the table was the LA crew, and then at the other end of the table was the Virgin Island crew, and nobody was saying nothing Nobody said a word. It was literally crickets at that table. And to break the ice, they decided to play a game called Marry, Fuck, Kill. JT asked Fallon, out of Justin Timberlake, Pharrell, and T.I., who would she marry and kill? She then said she'd kill Justin, marry Pharrell, and T.I. And I'm like, I can agree with that. Vanessa asked Willie who would he marry, fuck or kill out of Ciara, Madonna, and Oprah. And he talking about after he fuck all of them, he gonna marry Madonna, fuck Oprah, and kill Ciara. And I'm like, rewind that back, Willie. Rewind that back and go again. See, I would have said at least marry Oprah, fuck Ciara, and kill Madonna. And I thought he would have said the same, but I see he didn't. Adisha being messy. She switched the game up and gave Vanessa the choices of Willie, Cheeky, and JT. And Vanessa talking about straight up, she gonna kill JT, marry Willie, and fuck Cheeky. Krista tells them, let's play another game, because she could see that it's taking a turn for the worse. And I felt like that she knew her name was going to be thrown in the game. So before that happened, she wanted them to play another game where everybody says something nice about each other. And Fallon told her, definitely not. We is not doing that. And Fallon jumps in her confessional and says that after all the tension in the house and that they're finally in front of each other, maybe everyone can say how they really feel. So she think the game should continue. And I agree with her. Continue to mess shit. Y'all once wasn't saying anything. And now that y'all are, shit, keep it going. Otherwise it's going to be quiet again. It was Cheeky turn. Cheeky gave Dre the choices of Adisha, Vanessa, and Crystal as his option. And y'all know at this point in the show, it was very obvious that Dre wasn't feeling Crystal. Shit, he just told her that he wasn't trying to save her life. He was just trying to get Iguana away from her ass. Because if it was up to him, she'd be in danger. Danger, I know. But he says he'll marry Vanessa, fuck Adisha, and straight up kill Crystal. Crystal quickly jump in and say she'll kill him too, and that she'll kill him in his sleep. And she was hot about that and said that she don't like island boys anyway. She like stateside NIGGAs. He said that's cool because he don't like anorexic bitches either. And she then told her to shut his white skin ass up. And he was like, say it again. She was like, white skin, white skin, white skin. White skin. Willie jumps in his confessional and says that if they all go out to eat and don't nobody argue, he'll feel offended and feel uncomfortable. So he expect this shit to happen every time they go out to eat, which is crazy. So we switch over to the next day, and Cheeky invites everybody to the Tramp that's happening the night after his volleyball game. And the Tramp is like a parade over in the Virgin Island where everybody get together, they play music and dance in the street. And then it got a little carnival feel to it as well. Cheeky wanted to invite the LA crew into their culture so they can get a better feel of the Virgin Islands. And he wanted them to listen to something other than hip hop, because over there they listen to something called Calypso. Then we switch over to JT, Crystal, and Fallon sitting outside chatting it up, right, about their plans for tonight. And instead of going to the Tramp, Crystal and Fallon wanted to go see Texas Chainsaw Massacre that was playing in theaters that year. Crystal says she just don't think it's cool and all that to be dancing in the street. That's why she don't want to go. And I'm like, have you ever been to a parade? That's what happens in a parade. They dance in the street. I just don't understand her actual feelings of not wanting to go, her reason for not wanting to go. Fallon said that it would be cool to see the Caribbean culture, but she'd rather go see the movie because Texas Chainsaw Massacre rocks. And I'm like, if it's the one with Jessica Biel in it, that is the best one that they have made. And I'm like, Fallon and Crystal is basically segregating themselves, pushing themselves further away from the Virgin Island crew. So that night we head out to the game. Adisha, JT, Dre, Vanessa, and Vanessa's friend is all riding together on their way to the game. They ask JT where is he going after the volleyball game tonight. And Adisha answered for JT and said the Tramp. And he was like, no, he's going wherever he feels like going. And she was like, you going to the Tramp? He said he ain't going nowhere if it's going to be LA versus Virgin Island beef. That's not what he's trying to do and be a part of. So she told him, oh boy, let it go. Ain't no beef. And she gets in her confessional and says, it's hard living in a house with so much animosity and tension. And it's been like that since day one, which is crazy if it's been like that since day one. So you mean to tell me since day one, y'all ain't really vibed out and had fun together? All y'all did was argue? couldn't have been me. Dre jumps in his confessional and says that it seems like the LA crew is following behind Crystal. If she says she don't want to do something, they follow behind and don't want to do it either. And I'm like, maybe they just feel that way. They're not following behind Crystal. They just probably don't want to go out. So they get to the game and they get seated in the bleachers. And they're all sitting in the same section on the same row of bleachers, but sitting spaced apart. But then we have JT that's sitting behind them, like 2 bleachers behind. So they together, but they really not together. And they ain't saying a word to each other. They just watching the game. And we got Krista and Fallon, who has never been to a volleyball game, and they critiquing the game bad. They talking about how the clothes look on the people that's playing the game, and how they know that people aren't good at basketball or football, but shit, everybody should be good at volleyball. And I'm like, have they ever played volleyball? If they haven't played volleyball, they ain't gonna be good at volleyball either. You still have to practice a sport to get better at a sport. So I didn't understand why they was up there critiquing the game. While they're doing all that, Vanessa hit them, and she getting pissed by the second. So after the game was over, the tramp begins. So we got Krista and Fallon. They outside sitting on the curb. And at this point, they're ready to go home because the tramp had started late. They didn't say a Calypso band. And shit, all they saw was just people walking around. Wasn't nothing happening. And they wanted to go home, eat, and relax. And Crystal, she knows she be on some bullshit. She even said it out her mouth. She told Fallon while they were sitting down that she feels like the Virgin Island crew, she feels bad for the Virgin Island crew because they have to deal with so much shit that's coming from them. And Fallon's like, shit, she just trying not to get them attitude because that's not cute. And I'm like, Crystal know what she doing. She really is pushing herself away. She have an attitude every time the Virgin Islands Crystal and Fallon, they get in the van. She don't want to do what they ready to go home. She want to do her own. But once they get in the van, they can't move how do you because the trap started and it had blocked them in. But where they coming from, if you're not eventually it clears up and they can leave. But it was in that shit hot. That right there, they couldn't leave once they got in that van. They had to wait a little bit. Adisha in her confessional says that she ain't going to hold nobody in. If she invites you out and you want to leave, go ahead and leave. And I agree with Adisha. If I invite you out and you don't want to be there, so in order to make you not feel how you feel, go ahead and leave. Because if I look at you and you got a whole attitude, it's going to make me mad. And now we really going to have a problem. So I agree with Adisha when she said that. And Krista and Fallon, they are further segregating themselves more and more as the show go on. They don't want to do nothing that involves the Virgin Island people and culture unless they feel like it. If they don't feel like doing it, they're not going to do it. They're not. So we get back to the rest of the crew. They are enjoying the trip. But after a while, JT was ready to go home. Adisha and Vanessa, they had left him to go mingle with the crowd, and that made JT a little upset because he couldn't find Adisha. But after he found Adisha, he told her that she can't just invite them out with like 50 of her friends and then just leave him. She can't do that because he already feel like an outcast, and him just standing around looking, it didn't make him feel right. She calls him out for outcasting himself and reminded him that at the volleyball game that he sat away from them and he said nothing. So, and she was like, if the tables turned and she was out in California, he would do the same thing. Would leave her and go mingle with his friends too. And he was like, he wouldn't do that. And she said he would. And I agree with Adisha. If she was back in California and you invite her to a parade out there in California, you see your friends and your crew, you is going to leave Adisha and be like, hold on for a minute, let me go talk to these people. You is going to do that. Everybody would do that. But you would go back to her and make sure she's all right. Hey, you cool? You straight? You need anything? You want to come over here with my people? You ask her, does she want to come over there? And she don't. She don't. I agree with Adisha. It would be the same way if the tables was turned. So they all head back home after, spending some time at the Tramp. We got Vanessa. Vanessa mad. She hot. After hearing everything at the volleyball game, seeing how the people how they was acting at the Tramp, she was hot with Fallon and Crystal. So she in her confessional, and she was like, at this point, she ready to fuck the LA crew up. She said she ready to beat their ass. She said that they ain't trying to talk with them. They really just sticking with each other, and she not feeling that. If they on this show, they supposed to intertwine, and it's too cliquish, and she don't like that. She say she don't care where anybody is from, just don't fuck with her. So then we get Crystal. She laying in her bed with Willie, Fallon, and JT in her room too. She tells them that the Virgin Island crew, they ain't her sisters, they ain't her friends or homegirls, and she really don't care for them. And she also tells them that they can bicker and fight with the Virgin Island crew all day and night. She don't want to fight with the LA crew. And Willie talking about, yeah, we must remain Team Cali. See how they acted? They being cliquish. It's two teams. Virgin Island crew and a California crew. Then we switch back over to Adisha, Cheeky, Vanessa, and her friend. They all in the room eating pizza, laying down, chatting it up. They just talking about the food, basically. Adisha was like, this pizza is so good and shit like that. So while they're talking, JT screams from the other room telling Adisha to speak his language, bitch. Because he can't understand her. Adisha snapped. She snapped. She said that that's your fucking business. You can't understand me. You talk how you talk, and I talk how I talk. She don't give a fuck if he understands her or not. And told him, fuck you. JT comes in the room. Everybody following behind JT. And he was like, fuck you too. And they get to arguing. They get to arguing about the segregation in the house. How it's one team and it's another team. Crystal jumps in her confession and says that she don't like Adisha because Adisha always fighting and doing the young and reckless thing with JT. It's obvious that JT and Adisha fuck and they have feelings for each other because they arguing and making up that one day and then the next. And at this point, Crystal is over it. She tells them that she don't want them fighting because it piss her off too every time they fight. She hops in it every time. Vanessa tries pushing Adisha back, telling her not to listen to them and let them think what they want to think. At this point, everybody in that room arguing. Everybody going at it. And we got JT talking about he didn't come here to be clicked up on some Virgin Island and Cali BS. He didn't come for that. And Vanessa was about to say something to him, but Crystal cut her off and told her that she needed to stop it. And told her that she for the fight. That's all she got to say. If you're not trying to start the fight, then you for the fight. She said that and she walked out the room. That had set Vanessa ass off. Like I said, Vanessa was already mad about the shit that happened earlier that day. So she was already mad with their ass. So anything they said to her, I knew she was going to pop off or, cut the fuck up. So she got mad, right? Vanessa got heated. And she told Crystal, go suck a dick, you dumbass bitch. Don't start with her because she'll get to her ass. And she was hitting the wall, banging on the wall. I guess the hitting on the wall booted her up. Booted her up. And she went after Crystal. And I guess Crystal must knew Vanessa was coming because Crystal picked up a shoe. And once she picked up that shoe and Vanessa got to her ass, they started fighting. Boom, 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 boom. From the closet to the bed. From the closet to the bathroom, they was fighting. And Crystal was swinging that shoe. Wop, wop, wop. They was in a tussling. And everybody tried to break it up. And this was before they had security. So the house, the cast had to break up the fight. And the cameras kept rolling. After they put everybody apart, Vanessa had blood running down her face. Vanessa had blood running down her face. Crystal had bumped her ass with that shoe. I think hit her in the forehead and put a little gash on her forehead. And that was crazy. That scene That was the best scene that year for me. I was tuned in to College Hill once that happened. That became my favorite show once I seen them fighting. The next episode was basically nothing. It was just them having a decision about who was going to go home, and them, coming to the decision of sending Vanessa home after reviewing the tapes. So Vanessa ended up leaving. But other than that, that episode was one of the best episodes on television I have seen at that time. And that was it for College Hill Virgin Islands episode 8, a rewind review. I do thank y'all for coming into these YouTube streets and coming down here to the early way. And until next time.